It was a calm evening in a quiet American neighborhood, the kind of place where nothing ever seemed to go wrong. Streetlights flickered on as the sun disappeared below the horizon. Families finished dinner, neighbors waved to each other, and the world moved forward, just like it always had. No one knew that within hours, everything would change forever. At approximately 9:42 p.m., something unusual happened. Something that would trigger an investigation filled with mystery, fear, and unanswered questions. At first, nothing seemed out of place. No alarms, no screams, no obvious signs of danger. But behind closed doors, something had gone terribly wrong. The next morning, the silence felt different, unnatural, heavy. Concern quickly turned into fear when calls went unanswered. Friends tried to reach out. Family members grew worried, and soon, authorities were notified. When investigators arrived at the scene, they immediately sensed that this was no ordinary situation. Years of experience had taught them to recognize when something wasn't right, and this wasn't right. They began carefully examining every detail, every object, every corner, every possible clue, because in cases like this, even the smallest detail could reveal the truth. At first, there were more questions than answers. What happened here? Who was involved, and why? Investigators spoke with neighbors. Most reported nothing unusual. No strange noises, no suspicious activity, nothing that would suggest the horror that had unfolded just hours earlier. But one neighbor mentioned something important: a vehicle parked nearby, late at night, longer than usual. It was a small detail, but sometimes small details change everything. Detectives began reviewing surveillance footage from nearby homes and streets. Hours of video, hours of silence, until finally, they saw something, a figure, moving carefully, almost deliberately. It was unclear who it was, but one thing was certain: this was no accident. This was intentional. As the investigation continued, forensic teams worked tirelessly, collecting evidence, analyzing patterns, searching for anything that could explain what happened. Every fingerprint, every fiber, every trace left behind. Each piece brought them closer to the truth. But the truth was more disturbing than anyone expected, because this wasn't random. This wasn't chance. This was planned. Investigators began building a timeline, reconstructing the final hours before everything changed. Who was there? Who left? Who had a reason? And slowly, a picture began to form, a story of trust, betrayal, and secrets hidden in plain sight. People closest to the situation were questioned. Some cooperated fully. Others seemed nervous, afraid, hesitant. Not everyone was telling the whole truth, and investigators knew it, because behavior often reveals what words try to hide. As pressure increased, cracks began to appear. Statements changed, details shifted, and the truth began to surface. What once seemed impossible was now undeniable. This crime wasn't committed by a stranger. It was committed by someone familiar, someone trusted, someone who never expected to be suspected. The motive was complex, driven by emotion, driven by conflict, driven by something deeper than anyone realized. Investigators worked day and night, determined to uncover every detail, to understand every moment, to reveal the truth, because justice depends on truth, and truth never stays hidden forever. Eventually, the evidence told the full story, a story of decisions, consequences, and a moment that changed lives forever. For the community, nothing would ever feel the same again. The quiet streets, the familiar faces, the sense of safety they once knew, all of it had changed. Because sometimes the greatest dangers aren't obvious. They don't come from strangers. They come from places we trust the most. This case would become a reminder that every action leaves a trace, every choice has consequences, and every truth eventually comes to light. Even in silence, even in darkness, the truth waits, and eventually it is found. This was not just a crime. This was a moment that changed everything, forever.